Every time. It's fine.
Every time.
Welcome everybody to Secular Sunday Service. It's been a while. Thank you for coming. And first, I just want to say something about Boole. For those that don't know, a member of our community passed yesterday, Bullinator, and he was just a really great guy. And, you know, it's, especially this time of year. So all love to everybody in his family and that are good friends with him. Send our love. So, and Merry Christmas, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Holidays was good. Back to work in the morning.
Holidays.
So we have DarkMatter, who isn't using the camera, but he's here. Say hi, John.
Hello, everybody.
You can tell us who you are and what you do real quick?
Oh, you guys know me by now.
Everybody.
I do animations. I do silly animations regarding the God debate.
And you have a very fun Twitch channel, too. So.
Well...
Well, it's what we look forward to on Friday nights. That sounds pathetic, but it's true. So sorry. But yes, this is our show. I've made this our show because we started this one together. So thank you for co-hosting with me, John.
Oh, no problem. I'm honored to.
Mr. Bear, Atheist, has been on my channel a couple times before. How are you doing? Tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, doing very well. Thanks for having me. I'm honored to be here. Just been a quiet Christmas and just been making some content for the new year. So I'll just make response videos to religious videos I find online and just add some humor to them. And I just try to make myself laugh, and hopefully that makes someone else laugh and think as well.
Your videos are awesome. Everybody's links are in the description, but if you're not subscribed to Bear, seriously, he's every week really great content. One of my favorites, and one of my first friends.
$20 your way.
Oh, thank you, Bear. Thank you so much for coming too. I know it's for both Marrow and Bear. It's Monday morning, so thank you.
You're in the
Speaking
future.
of Marrow, Nervardia.
Hello. How are you? My name's Meredith, aka Nervardia. I do stuff and things on the internet. I do have a channel. I've been a bit slack recently. I did a stream the other day explaining in the first half why I've been slack. And but I do a lot of science communication. I do a bit of debunking, a little bit of advocacy. It's sort of one of those things where I'm a bit of everything. I'm starting to notice that whenever something comes up, I'm like, oh, I've done a video on that, which is it's a bit eclectic, but yeah, come check me out. And yeah,
absolutely. And then everybody knows MathPig, who just recently hit 1,000 subscribers. So,
which is a good thing and a bad thing. It's good for me to hit 1,000 subscribers. It's a bad thing for all of you because I have to wear a mankini now on New Year's Eve.
Thank you to Critical Cripple for that.
Yeah, that's all.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's not much. There's not much to it. It's very tiny.
No.
You've got something between your teeth.
I'm already seeing it.
Yeah. I'm going to strangle Dave when he watches this tomorrow. Fuck you, Dave.
I'm aiming to break my biggest live limit. We've tapped out at 90. I'm hoping to get at least 100 people for the mankini,
Anyway, so that will be New Year's Eve at 5:30 Eastern on MathPig's channel. And so come play. Okay, so tonight's topic, something that John and I have joked about for a while, is the war on Christmas, and I kind of included a bit of the way Christians tend to take themselves on as victims. I was reading a little bit about it, and the New York Times described the supposed war on Christmas as a sometimes histrionic Yuletide debate over whether the United States is a country that respects Christianity. So, how do you guys, how much of this war on Christmas stuff have you guys seen, mostly in the media, and where are you getting it from?
Well, in Australia, we don't really have that, do we, mate? Do we, though?
No, it doesn't really
No.
exist here. We're so laid back about it that it doesn't really rear its head at all.
And
There's
if
nothing
it
from
does,
even the Murdoch channels?
oh, if it is, it's like late night Sky News where, you know, they say the most ridiculous shit that no one listens to anyway. So, you know.
It's completely fabricated on Sky News. They'll focus on one soundbite that one person says, possibly overseas, but most likely someone here, based on what's being said overseas, and then expand that to an hour discussion. And it's just not based on any fact at all. It's ridiculous.
So apparently the first actual war on Christmas was about 400 years ago. The Puritans had decided to ban Christmas in America because they felt it didn't fall in line with their biblical ideals. So, but for the longest time, there really wasn't anything. It wasn't like a big deal at all until I think 2005. This guy, I can't remember his name. Let me find it. He was a radio host, John Gibson. He wrote this book alleging that liberal antagonism toward the holiday was what was causing this whole war on Christmas. So it started off as a political debate. And then Bill O'Reilly was the first one to pick it up in the media and really exploded it. In fact, John Gibson himself says now that it really isn't a problem, that, you know, what he wrote about was kind of an issue back when he, you know, in 2005 when he wrote about it, but it's not really a thing now, but they've made it a political thing. Why is it a complete rift between the left and the right? Is that what is happening here?
I feel so in America it's definitely been politicized that way.
But why?
I mean,
Why? Because the right is
everything...
Christian and Christmas is Christian, and it's, you know, us dirty liberals trying to get rid of it and trying to take God out of everything. And
everything in America seems to become politicized. I mean, for fuck's sake, you politicized COVID.
Yeah.
Like you politicized climate change. You politicized anything. Everything that can be politicized, it's been politicized in the US. I mean, you politicize fucking the color of a Starbucks cup.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, it's a cup.
Trump wanted to have the whole country boycott Starbucks when they put Happy Holidays on their cup instead of Merry Christmas. So.
And Goodyear tires. Goodyear tires was politicized.
Yeah.
Like literally everything. That's why it was politicized, is because it just follows on with everything else within America.
John, what is the craziest argument about the war on Christmas that you have seen?
The craziest argument?
Yeah. Coming from people like Fox News or whatever.
The basic premise of the argument that we're trying to get rid of it. I mean, that's crazy to me. You know, like nobody's trying to get rid of Christmas. I mean, just saying happy holidays is not an attack on Christmas. Christmas is included in the holidays. Holiday is the meaning of the word is holy day. Right? Yeah. That's the literal meaning of it. It's and people have been saying that since long before anyone ever said there was a war on Christmas. People have been saying happy holidays.
Over a century, they've been saying that. Yeah.
And it's just ridiculous that they think that that is some kind of an assault. That's what's crazy to me. And I sincerely wonder if they even believe what they're saying, like if they think there's an attack or whatever, like, or if this is just this is like become a holiday tradition. It's part of the tradition now.
Amanda says 400 years. 400 years this is going like. It's, we haven't won yet.
Bill O'Reilly actually said that the next step after using the term Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas is abortion on demand and euthanasia.
That's what I was trying to come up with. Damn it. He figured it out.
Damn.
Question, John, and for Amanda as well, being an American. I'm over here in the UK. Someone says Merry Christmas to me, I'd be like, Merry Christmas back. Wouldn't bother me. It doesn't, it doesn't feel like it's infringing on my rights or anything like that. They're not preaching at me or anything. It's just, because it's not so politicized, it's just something that people say.
Right.
Yeah, it's the same here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my atheist friends texted me Merry Christmas. We don't think anything of it.
I texted you God's not dead about 2 weeks ago.
Like I don't know if they think like if they have some kind of sinister image of us, like we would get offended about hearing Merry Christmas when we're literally texting it to each other, Yeah.
To you. And the thing is too, though, saying, by saying Happy Holidays as well, we are including all the different holidays, all the religions. I think it's almost more respectful when we do either or both. At least we're acknowledging that there are other holidays than Christmas. It's almost like it's backwards.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because in our workplace, there was talk about the introduction of inclusivity policies, so basically recognizing minorities and their beliefs. And I remember a really robust discussion. This is probably about 6 or 7 years ago. And there was a really robust discussion between the people I work with who are in the majority Christian. And their concerns was that, now we can't say Merry Christmas anymore. Now we can't say this anymore. And now we have to be careful what we say. And for me, it was more, I was still Catholic at that time, but even I was saying, well, what's wrong with recognizing someone else's belief and religion? I don't think they're really going to come after us for saying Merry Christmas. Let's just play it out and see what happens. And of course, it came to nothing. And so you've got this fear-based progressive these policies coming in that are progressive and recognizing other minorities, and this huge fear-based backlash to that of Christians saying, no, why? We don't want this. But now we can't say that anymore. It was just so much fear around that.
It seems to happen before Christmas too every year. It builds up, especially I guess here in America.
Yeah.
But they start it, sometime in October, and they say, the war on Christmas is coming, and it gets worse and worse as it gets closer to Christmas too.
Something I didn't know about before Twitter. So
Christmas here is 3 months, and if we shortened it to like 2.5, then that really would be a war on Christmas.
Yeah.
A week after Halloween, you see Christmas stuff out. Like less than a week in some places, you see Christmas stuff out. It comes earlier and earlier every year. The only thing that stops it is Halloween.
Yeah.
We always see the Christmas stuff like right around Halloween. So it's ridiculous. But go ahead, Mara.
This basically, the whole thing about the war on Christmas is just pretty much ties back to what I like to call the Christian persecution autofellatio. So pretty much. It's just like Christians cannot be Christians unless they're being persecuted, and it is actually built into the Bible to say.
Do you know in the chat said that they love persecution like a kink?
Yeah, it is. That's what I like to call it, Christian persecution complex autofellatio. as soon as something doesn't become Christocentric, the Christians lose their fucking mind.
Yes.
They're
and
really good at it too. That's all I've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, it is, a lot of people look at respecting other people as a form of persecution, rather than not realizing that they were at least privileged, maybe not persecuted, but at least privileged to have their religion front and center. And that's it just basically, for me, it just boils down into that Christian persecution autofellatio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That who was it? Christian in the Bible, Christians are promised by St. Paul that they will suffer for Christ if they love him. So it's actually built into the foundation of their religion that they are supposed to suffer, and suffering is good. And I'm wondering if that's kind of connected, because you are so out there with your atheism, I guess, John. Do you get told a lot that oh, you're persecuting me as a Christian or anything like that?
Well, yeah. Just speaking up is like my speaking up against Christianity is fulfilling the Bible, fulfilling biblical prophecy. They the Bible said there would be people like me persecuting them, and my just having the audacity to disagree and speak about it is persecution. And I think that it has to be for them, because they're not facing any persecution. So there would have to be some kind of cognitive dissonance, because the Bible says that they're to face persecution. And since they're not, at least not in the first world, I mean, and I'm not going to speak on what Christians have to deal with in other countries, and like in Muslim majority countries. I know they have to deal with persecution, but in first world Christian majority countries, they don't have to deal with anything, and they have to come up with something. Otherwise, the Bible doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I'm actually sort of plodding away on a script right now talking about Christian persecution in other countries. And there's a lot of the Christian persecution in other countries also apply to atheists. And even in some Muslim countries, the cost of being a Christian, if you were born into Christianity, is not punishable by death. But if you are an atheist in some Islamic countries, it is punishable by death. Like even in some Islamic countries, Christians are less persecuted. Not saying that they're not persecuted, because they go through some hell, but it's not as bad as some of the persecution that atheists face in those same countries. So anyway, it was just some of the things that I've discovered.
Isn't Saudi Arabia one of those countries where atheists can be executed? I believe, and that's supposed to be one of our allies. And
in fact, I can't remember. I want to say it was Pence. There was one politician that actually agreed with something that they were passing in Saudi Arabia about not being able to be secular in that country because of who he was. It was I don't remember what it's exactly, but so, and I understand there's a component of they're an ally, we have to be nice to them, but that just seemed really upsetting. And I understand that as Mero pointed out, there are places in the world that Christians are persecuted, and historically they have been as well. But in America and in most of the first world countries, it's the most dominant religion, and they're the idea is that it just being able to include anybody else at all is taking away from them for some reason, and I don't understand that.
So lack of power.
Here in Australia.
Sorry, no, go on ahead, Mira.
Here in Australia, we occasionally get some dickheads coming out doing something profoundly stupid in the name of their religion. And like, I'm obviously thinking of Israel Folau, so like Mr. Bear can back me up on this one. Do you want to go along and talk about it, Mr. Bear?
Oh no, go ahead. Yeah.
So basically, Israel Folau said extremely homophobic things and broke his the contract with Rugby Australia, and first time round they gave him a slap on the wrist and said don't do it, and then he did it again, and so he got fired, and then that led to a friggin' inquiry, like because a rich guy who's good at throwing a ball got fired for breaking his contract. And now because we have a very religious man as the leader of our country, he was like, oh, well, let's look into, let's do an inquiry into how religious freedom is allowed in Australia. And it was just like, dude, you broke the rules. You know, if the same thing happened to an atheist or a Muslim or anyone else, would have had the exact same treatment. You broke the rules. You have to live with consequences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they take any, they want to be able to use their religion to be able to hate and do hateful things. And they think that, the laws that protect religions should protect that. And there's a fine line there because they kind of do in some cases. It happens, and especially like, the whole wedding cake debates and stuff like that.
We had a fucking huge one here in Northern Ireland. Like, Bert and Ernie ended up in the fucking Supreme Court. Like,
I remember that.
Really? Oh, you need to tell us about this one.
No, a gay couple went to a cake company and asked them to make a cake with Bert and Ernie on the front of it. I think it was for a wedding, and they refused, and it was taken to the head court in Northern Ireland, the head court in England, wherever it was, and they got turned down and were said that they were being discriminatory. They then took it to the Supreme Court and then won. Well, our version of whatever it was like. But then they did eventually win. But Bert and Ernie started a whole thing for like a year over fucking Bert and Ernie on a cake, like.
They actually.
Pardon?
Sorry, what did you say?
I'm glad the resources are going to the important things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, they fight the same stuff here.
That's why you go to law school, kids.
Yep. Sesame Street's very important.
Wedding cakes.
Yeah, exactly. So they did a study that found that people that watch channels like Fox News are actually 10% more likely to believe that there is a real war on Christmas because it's pushed so hard from the media. How much of that do you guys see? Like, I know you don't watch like Fox News and stuff regularly. I see it a lot, unfortunately, because my parents watch it. And well, they did up until Trump lost. They haven't had Fox News on at all.
I think for
now they're OAN. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say that it's more about the commercialized mass media, free-to-air TV, streaming. That's where the overloading of Christmas imagery comes, the commercialization of it. That's where we get bombarded with it, pretty much anywhere in the world, anywhere else. Yeah.
Yeah, I was on stream with another YouTuber, Atlee, and she was asking about Christmas over here, and it was just like, it's actually, if you think about it, really quite secular. I mean, we've got a lot of the Christian imagery, like of the stars and things like that. But if you walk around downtown, like into a shopping center or something, a lot of it's just Christmas baubles and flashy, pretty lights and
I've noticed the design. Yeah, it's become a lot more simplified and iconography. It's iconography rather than actual saying Merry Christmas now. I've noticed that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you still see Merry Christmas, you still see Happy Holidays, and it has changed from being very religious to worshiping God and Jesus to worshiping money, basically. I mean, I can't really
say money. We just pretend that we put God on top. So,
well, you do have "In God We Trust" on your money, so.
yeah, and in my son's school too. There's a big fucking sign of it, and hate it so much. So it's not just the in terms of the Christian persecution complex or whatever you want to call it.
For a split second, I can just overtake Miro and go, "Yeah, that's the cake that stopped." She can't see it; none of you can see it, but there you go.
Thank you, honey. It isn't just the news that is doing it. There are a lot of movies that come out that make the central character, very Christian movies that make the central character a Christian who is being persecuted. Name John's favorite movie, God's Not Dead.
Oh no, my favorite movie?
I haven't seen it yet.
Really?
You haven't seen God's Not Dead? Oh.
No.
But I'm not going to embarrass you by telling everybody what it is, but we'll go with God's Not Dead for this one. So
I think that you could be sued for that. I think that's serious enough to be sued.
But seriously, tell us a little bit about how they portrayed that in the movie.
God's Not Dead? Well, there was this atheist professor who he just basically made it against his rules to be a Christian in the classroom. It's just ridiculous. And if you asserted that you had to sign a piece of paper that says God is dead, and if you refused, then you had to defend God. You had to argue for God's existence, which of course that's what the movie was about. Was this kid who, I mean, is a philosophy professor. He's supposed to be talking about the history of philosophy, which includes the God debate, obviously. He's the one that should be doing that, not some, kid.
Yeah.
But I guess, and of course, all of his arguments were just awful. Straw man bullshit that was, easily knocked down by this kid. Because
he claims to be he's supposed to be an atheist, and they portray him as this evil, awful guy because he's an atheist. Yet the whole movie, he keeps talking about how much he hates God.
Right. He's not actually an atheist.
No.
Right.
He's a mesotheorist.
It took his wife and kids or something, wasn't it? It took his family for him or whatever. And it becomes an epiphany of no fucking atheists in a foxhole at the very end. Like, it's just didn't hit him hard enough with that car. Swear to fuck.
Yeah. He gets hit by a car and he's lying.
Christmas cancer. Don't forget about that. You're ruining my business because you've got this timing as well. It was just an awful movie.
Yeah.
Is there a sequel as well?
There's 3.
There's 2 sequels.
Yeah.
3 now. Right.
Wait, so he dies, he gets hit by this car, and as he's dying, he finds Jesus again. So he's fucking lying there dead, and these 2 pastors are like, this is the greatest night of all.
Yeah, and then they have a concert about it. Then they have a fucking concert. This guy dies in the street, and they all celebrate by the masses because he found God. It's okay. It's grand. He's dead, but he found God. It's like, what the fuck?
What a worldview.
These pastors, their car kept breaking down, and they, you wonder where this is going. And the thing is they pray at the right moment, and God, grants their prayer and lets their car start, just so that they could be at the right place at the right time to be able to proselytize to this dying pastor in the street.
I think they're the main focus of the second one.
Plan.
I think they're the main...
But he couldn't feed the starving children.
No.
The second movie, I'm pretty sure, is all about them. At least the main...
No, it's the third one. The second one is Melissa Joan Hart. She's a teacher that talks about Jesus in class.
God, that's right. Sabrina gets all Christian. Oh, fuck me.
But the thing is, she wasn't proselytizing or anything. She was literally talking about a historical Jesus but then she mentioned that she believed. So then they wanted to like fire her or something like that. So the
Yeah.
whole movie is her lawsuit, but it's complete bullshit. And then they did the thing again with they list all the lawsuits about Christian persecution at the end of the movie, but they're all pretty much like the Bert and Ernie thing.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I remember doing that stream, and when the end of the movie, when the credits came up, it said this movie was inspired by these cases, and I'm like, whoa. So there's actual cases, huh? So I'm on the internet, I'm on the stream. I'm like, well, I got Google right here. Let's check out these cases. There was like, a dozen of them. And everyone I was checking out, it was them not being able to be bigots against gay people.
Yep.
Like they feel persecuted because they don't get to persecute.
Oh, wow.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is one of something he does on Twitch, which is really fun. Like Robbie and I probably laughed harder that night than the whole week. It was...
I only used half the footage to make that video earlier. Half of what I got.
Well, it's because we make everything porn. It's our fault. So, but yeah, so they want to be able to, they've had these abilities for so long, especially in America, to be able to, for until like the 50s or something, it was illegal in most states to even be gay. So being able to persecute people for being gay was okay. And then as society progressed, they don't like the fact that they're losing this. So they feel like it is persecution on them.
Yeah.
Well, what they feel is a loss of power. They feel is persecution, but it's actually just a loss of power. They don't realize their privilege. The running joke: check your privilege at the door. They don't really understand that, and it's what's being taken away from them. They are genuinely losing, but they're losing what they didn't rightfully have in the first place. They have 90% of the power, and 10% goes to everybody else, and we're trying to balance it out and give the 4 groups 25 each, the 8 groups 12 and a half each, whatever it is. We're trying to give everybody a fair representation, a fair voice, and the fact that they're losing that, they're like, oh shit, I can't do what I want now, this is shit. I'm white and old with grey hair and got a penis. Fuck. Lost all my power now.
Right.
So, sorry, Baron, what was that?
It's such a strange way of looking at things that way, isn't it? That I can't be horrible anymore because I'm being checked for it.
Yeah.
It's a strange situation to be in.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like people scream about telling someone to fuck off or shut up is infringing on somebody's freedom of speech, where that complaint in a way infringes on that person, the other person's freedom of speech, because you're saying you can't tell me to shut up and fuck off.
This is something I want to have an open panel with, and I've talked about this with Amanda, and for the exact reason of that is the reason that we haven't. We want to talk about a fucking panel of people feeling, you say something and they take offense by it. Yeah, because I say something, you don't have a right to take offense. If it offends you, okay. If you're nice enough, I'll apologize. But I say what I say because of, I'm ranting. Go on ahead, Amir. Sorry.
I know John and Robbie saw it. There was this video going around of this girl on TikTok that was talking. She had blood all over her face, and now she made it. I don't know how to describe it. John, do you remember it?
Wasn't that about the vaccine?
Yeah, but it was. She talked about having God on her side or something like that at the end.
Yeah, I mean, she felt like they were gonna try to force her to take the vaccine, or like she would refuse, and I don't remember exactly how it went, but I mean, it was a fantasy about being persecuted, where nobody's going to persecute you for not taking the vaccine, or the vaccine isn't going to kill you, or whatever you think it's going to send you to heaven. But yeah, she is like suffering here on Earth, and then she dies and is vindicated in heaven.
Yeah. And she gets it. The thing that pissed me off about that the most was the Auschwitz vibe of it. And that
Oh yeah, they
seemed
need
very-
the mark of the beast thing. All that they, I guess that parallels with the tattoos that the Jews had to get, or the armbands, and so there some Christians that talk a lot about that mark of the beast, that they associate that with when stuff like this happens, like with a pandemic, and they come up with a vaccine, and well, that's prime mark of the beast's fodder, I guess.
Yeah. It goes along with like the QAnon conspiracy as well, and that seems to be again this complete divide between the right and the left, and how they are on God's side, and we're trying to take away God from them. I don't really understand that. How do you think that they think we're going to do that? Any ideas?
Well, first they limber up their brain, and then they start, stretching, and then do an amazing, like, Olympic-style, death-defying gymnastics in the mental sense, and then they land badly and break their neck. That's how they get there.
Yeah, that seems about right.
No, when you went on the anti-vaxxer, I'm just like, for context, for those people who don't know me, I'm doing a microbiology and chemistry major at university, and I have a lot of things to say about anti-vaxxers, and I have a lot of people who are a lot of things to say about people who are like spreading bullshit about the COVID-19 vaccination. Like, it's been too quick. This technology is 10 years old. It's not exactly new technology.
Yeah.
Would you believe the mother of my daughter works in an old folks home, and she is generally 99.9% of the time vaccinates the child, everything, the whole lot, and all the rest of it. And even though she works in an old folks home and her mother's taking it as well, and her mother works there, she will not take it because she hasn't, as she said, seen the long-term results. She wants to wait, and this, and it's like, it's a vaccine. It works off your antibody.
This might be an unpopular opinion. But I'm going to put it out there. I probably have a little bit more respect for those kinds of people. Now, hear me out. Over the people who initially denied everything about COVID, who have now received the first inoculations.
Well, she's been aware of it and all on it, and it's not China or anything like that. She, as I said, 99.9% of it she would align with everything that we say. Just at the very end, when the vaccination is going to be offered to her, because she would be, essential. She works with old folks. She's going to turn it down and not take it. And it's just like, I just want to reach out and.
I know. At least they've got a position they're holding in one way. It's wrong. Don't get me wrong. It's a wrong position. It's a stupid position. But at least they're not being hypocritical and rushing out to get the first vaccine shot.
I can kind of understand where those people who are hesitant about getting the COVID-19 vaccination, because it is a new type of vaccination. It's the first time we've ever seen an mRNA vaccination. And there is a lot of misinformation going around, such as, it's been too quick. But the thing with mRNA vaccines, you can actually produce them faster than you could, for example, the flu vaccine. It's talking about the spike protein, like it creates the spike protein that your body can look after. And it's only that little section of DNA. And like it's new technology, and people are rightfully worried about new technology, but people don't understand the scientific method that goes to behind it, and the fact that this isn't a new technology. We've had a head start of it because of SARS and MERS. So like this, a lot of people are going, how is it that you've been able to create a vaccine in a year when it normally takes years and years and years of study? And I can see that point of view. It's but it's the same bullshit that anti-vaxxers against the MMR vaccine will pull out of it's not safe, or how do we know? And it's like, it's sort of like,
Yeah.
You
Going along the same lines with the COVID, I don't know what it's like in Australia, but we have this big debate here in America about the fucking masks. And a lot of the times, it's the Republicans and also therefore Christians that they're again being persecuted because they think they have freedom to do everything. They seem to think that if you watch these videos of people going into stores and getting kicked out or whatever, and they claim that this is America, I can do what I want. They really honestly think that being in America means literally doing what you want. But it's like, do you think that you would be allowed in the store without pants on? Like, there are fucking limits.
I tried that. It doesn't work. Yeah, you get locked up for a little while.
The irony of that is that the store they have a right to make requirements upon customers who come in, right?
Yeah.
Well, to a certain extent. Obviously, they can't deny people based on their immutable characteristics, but things like dress codes and stuff that everyone would have to adhere to. But the vaccine thing, I wanted to read a tweet from Jack Posobiec, that goofy conservative guy. And have you seen this tweet? This is apparently a serious tweet. He says, "What if instead of a vaccine, we were able to get exposed to a weak version of the virus that enabled us to build the antibodies we need to fight the real thing?"
Oh my
Vice
God.
Rhino did a video on some guy that said the exact same thing about measles and stuff. Like, they're insane.
I think this guy's onto something.
Roll it out.
Oh,
No.
I think you just broke Marrow.
calm blue oceans.
Yeah.
Calm blue oceans.
In my work, I can't. We have
My
a
happy
work
place?
area and a reception, and I can only enforce masks in the reception. I can't enforce them on the work area, but I also can't enforce customers to leave the work area. And I had an incident. I think I told you about this, man, like 2 weeks ago, and the guy actually squared up to me and was like, "What the fuck's your fucking problem? It's not fucking law." And I'm like, just stand back and stop shouting at me. It came to the point where I went and got fucking posters, put them up at work, then took a day off, and they took them all down again because we're not allowed to actually do that and enforce that, and it's fucking stupid. Like,
I blame America for that because
It's
America
Yeah.
should be where this
Yeah, let's do that.
thing started.
all Trump's
Yeah.
fault.
Honestly, you're not wrong there, to be honest with you. Like, there would, back in the 1918 influenza pandemic, there were anti-maskers. There were a lot of people, a lot of the same sort of things was being done, but
Really?
the attitudes were, yeah. There were, there was a group of anti-maskers in during the 1918 flu pandemic. But I think back then there was a lot more ridicule towards them than there was now, because now in America it's like, it is my freedom, and there's a lot of support because it comes right from the fucking top.
Exactly.
I
what said
know.
earlier. Yeah.
And I
But
actually wonder if his reasoning behind not wanting to wear a mask was just pure fucking vanity. And that's what started this whole thing.
Apparently, according to Donald Trump, getting sick was a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
So the idea of getting a disease was a sign of, in his family, is a sign of weakness, rather than, your immune system being overwhelmed. It's so him being afraid, it's a sign of fear. It's a sign of weak. So I think a lot of his psychology growing up has come into play around the way he's handled the COVID-19 pandemic. It makes sense, but he still killed like probably 350,000 people. So
we're actually looking at losing another 200,000 by March. They're predicting right now. Last month in November, 34,000 Americans died. This month so far, it's 67,000, and because over I think half a million people traveled and airplanes alone during the holidays, and they were pushing, a lot of the conservative media were pushing for people to ignore, you know, restrictions, and people like Tucker Carlson, who came out and said, you know, don't listen to Fauci. You need to just go out. Don't let this ruin Christmas. Go see your family and go do what you want. They are fucking killing people. I don't understand it. And people don't really care in this country anymore. I don't know if it's just because it's been so bad for so long. But I mean, I live in Georgia, so obviously we have actually our governor made a law, and this was back when he was a big Trump dick sucker, that counties and cities cannot make mask mandate laws. He passed that bill. So I go out, and I would say maybe 20% at most of the people are wearing masks. And, people are going out. Nobody ever really stopped doing things around this town. I don't understand why people don't give a fuck right now, because so many people are dying in this country, and it's just getting worse.
Yeah, it's because of going back to what we were talking about, is the Christian persecution or fallacia complex.
Yeah,
I've seen them. I've seen some people accuse, mask wearing as being of the devil. Like literally, they say that it's the devil's work, where you're God. This is God's breathing system. God designed your breathing system, and when you put a mask on that, you're going against God. You're breathing in your own carbon dioxide, and that's what the devil wants you to do. You're making yourself sick by wearing a mask. These are the kinds of things I've heard from people.
Yeah, I think I saw something about that too. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Bear.
Sorry. They're even drawing comparison. Dave Cullen in Ireland drew comparison to the hijab and the burqa with the mask. So
God,
that was his comparison. we're all going to become Muslim because of COVID-19.
Really?
Yep. That makes all the sense in the world. I think
same thing. So yeah,
the devil thing. I think I remember seeing something about that having to do with God's oxygen system or whatever it was. Yeah,
it's one of those popular evangelicals with their TV show. I forget which one, but that stuff goes around and people buy into it, because they see those people as authority figures. They're authorities on nothing except, maybe their interpretation of the Bible, but that's it. And they get credibility because of that.
Perps said, by that logic, wearing clothing is against God because he designed your body's temperature regulation system. You could just keep going with it, I guess.
I like my reply then.
Well, I became an atheist.
No, can I get taken then?
Well, but actually, Purple is right. Purple is right. The testicles, they need to be a certain temperature, or else you become infertile. And also cremaster and dartos, fantastic words for a pair of muscles around the testicular area, especially cremaster. Everyone,
tape for New Year's Eve. That's for fucking.
I've got to get back to the gym.
Vero actually has some really good videos on her channel learned a lot about testicles. I made Angel watch myself.
It was fun. It was a fun video.
Highly recommended, actually. Yeah, that one and the other one as well. The other one, I mean.
Can these be used as excuses to go pantsless in the store? Like, are they going to buy that excuse? Like, I need the temperature regulator? No.
No, I don't know if
You
that's
could
right.
try. We'll start a GoFundMe for your bail.
You see, this could work with his plan to find Christianity and retire rich. You can find Christianity in church or in jail.
What if I call it a testicle mask? Like just underwear testicle mask.
I think that's really the mankini.
The women that have taken off their panties and used them as masks for some fucking reason.
Oh wow.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
emergencies. You know, you need to do what you need to do.
I don't know if they were anti-mask and like saying this is ridiculous, or they were just fucking nuts. But there were like 3 of them, and they all had skirts on.
It's not mutually exclusive, so.
I guess that's true.
Regardless of mask or anti-mask, we can definitely establish that they're fucking nuts.
Yes. Oh, and a big problem, especially with this rift between the right and the left, is the lack of just education, period. You know, we have Christianity tends to fight very hard against science and learning anything in general. So when you have this issue that you're not educated in really pretty much anything, and you're getting your information from fucking Fox News and OANN or whatever, you tend to fall on that side and believe it and do stupid shit.
Yeah.
The irony of that is that they justify that by accusing in the education of being indoctrination, you know, and that's, to me, that's very ironic, because I mean,
yeah,
My suck my dick sign, that was from when Mark Sargent literally said I was indoctrinated because I was highly educated. Fucking ass. But no,
They might be right though. They might be right. Did you seen what I bought Elena for Christmas? She has now 2 globes, she has a telescope, and she has a science kit. She is completely indoctrinated into science.
That's right.
She even has the white coat and everything. That's
terrible. Terrible.
There was a tweet yesterday that I read about. It came from a Christian that said, or no, I think it was on Christmas. Said Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope that no atheists are celebrating today because it would be hypocritical.
I responded to that one too.
Yeah,
critical.
Yeah, it's reducing people to labels. It's horrible. It's as if we live in a vacuum. You know, we have no belief. Therefore, you should sit in the corner and ignore your family, your kids, your whole history. It's just ludicrous. It's just a ridiculous way to phrase things.
and saying that Christmas isn't even about the birth of Christ anymore. Christmas is about presents. It's about capitalism. Santa, that evil misspelling of Satan, has stolen Christmas from poor Jesus Christ. You know.
Yeah. Well, the idea that we, we can't be involved in Christianity because, in Christmas because it's a Christian thing, is also like, are we not allowed to speak English? Like, there's no religious background to the English language, but there's a lot of Latin influences in the English language, and Latin was predominantly spoken by early Christians, and therefore we should learn a different language or something. Like you can, birthday or
no more numerals. No more. You have to use Roman numerals, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Because we can't have Arabic numerals.
I mean, that's always funny when people don't realize that our numerals are Arabic, or fucking algebra is Arabic. Like,
you're not going to teach my kids.
I don't understand though. They say we can't celebrate Christmas because we're atheists, but they expect us to say, Merry Christmas to them, and what exactly do they expect us to do? Like exalt their holiday, but not participate in it?
Well, it's almost as if we have to become inhuman. It's almost as if we have to take away something that's innately human to us. Common courtesy, like MathPig was saying. You walk down the street, someone says Merry Christmas. you say the same thing back. It's just what you do at this time of the year in first world countries. Anyway, so it's as if I should just ignore them and be a douchebag. It's just silly.
Do you know any atheists at all that refuse to say Merry Christmas? Because I don't.
No, literally never met one.
I have to say though, I don't like bless you whenever I sneeze.
Yeah, I know, you made me stop doing that.
I really don't like bless you whenever someone says sneeze, and the whole idea of expelling a spirit and back in and forth, and no, I just don't like bless you. I'm being pedantic and an asshole, but that personally is something I don't like.
Are you a Gesundheit man? Are you?
Exactly.
Okay.
Gesundheit, good health in
Oh,
German.
okay.
Yeah.
I just think it sounds funny.
I get, every time I go to the store, I get some kind of God bless you, not in a sneezing sense, but in a, religious sense every time I leave. And that, I admit, that does make me uncomfortable. I don't like that, but I don't connect Merry Christmas to Jesus Christ necessarily. So, I've never met an atheist that was, not going to do that.
I've had a woman at work that overheard me listening to a religious debate that we have in the community, and I didn't realize who she was, and it turns out she's an evangelist and all the rest of it, and she asked if she could pray for me, and I was like, yeah, do whatever you want and all of that. She then closed her eyes, grabbed my hand, and started there and then actually freaking praying for me, and it was like, I'm just going to stand here for 2 minutes. That's dead on right. Get into your car and fuck off. Okay, thanks. I'm not going to shout at the poor woman.
That's the one I don't like. Because sorry.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you at first. I interrupted.
No, that's okay. It's more just I'll pray for you. Because then they're actually going away from you and thinking about you in a very private situation. That makes me uncomfortable because I don't know when they're doing it. I don't know what they're saying. I don't know what they're praying about. You know what I mean? It's kind of like if someone says God bless you face to face, it's like, yeah, it's irksome, but I'll ignore it. Yeah, fine. I get what they mean. It's sort of like a hello, goodbye thing. Be safe. Okay. In a generous way. But to actually go home, kneel by your bed, clasp your hands, close your eyes, and think of me.
And saying that, man, talking to a person in the chat, we have a Christian in the chat as well, but the person I'm talking about is Ox. Ox in the chat would be more Native American beliefs and things like that, and we were chatting back and forth over certain topics last week, and he said, do you mind if I pray to the Great Mother for you? And I was like, you knock yourself out, man. If it, and I wasn't offended by that. It didn't bother me.
Yeah,
I just to clarify, it's not offensive. It's just a bit strange. That's all.
Yeah.
Having a 50, whatever age man sit alone in bed at night thinking about me, that's a bit weird. Now that you point it out.
I had sprained my ankle years ago, and I was on crutches going around. And this woman, I think she was Mormon, pulled me aside and was like, "Can I pray for you?" And I'm like, okay. And she prayed for me. And while she was praying for me, I noticed that she had really bad psoriasis. And I'm like, there's something really sad about the fact that here's this woman praying for me over a twisted ankle, and yet Jesus couldn't do anything about a terrible skin condition that she had. Like, I felt really bad for her because it was like, I can't hate her or throw shade at her because she's got a skin condition, but it was just like this weird disconnect. Sort of like,
she never asked for it herself, Miro. If she asked for it, she would be selfish. Prayers only work when you ask to help others. Did you not know that?
Mm-hmm. Well, it didn't really help me. My ankle didn't get any better immediately after. I sort of gently went, okay. And she's like, I'll pray it completely better. I'm like, oh, no, Jesus has done enough, and walked off going, okay.
I had, about 5 years ago, I was getting some procedures for my pain. I had to go into the hospital and get put to sleep. It was like, started off 3 times a week, and then it tapered off after that. But the nurse there, we had, because they would come in and put the IV in, and they would sit and talk for a few minutes. So we got to know each other because I've been doing this for a couple months now, and she had found out that I was an atheist. So she, spoke to me about it. She didn't really understand it, And then the next time I went into the hospital, she was pregnant and she had left on leave, but she had given one of the other nurses a book about finding Jesus for me. And I was like, I don't know, that felt like totally crossing the line, and I didn't really understand it. And I was respectful about her beliefs and all, but for her to feel the need to do something like that, it was a bit much, and that happened.
Do you find that? Sorry for interrupting. But do you find that Christians, again going back to the persecution order fellatio, that when they completely disrespect your beliefs, but when you say no, thank you, I'm not, they become really offended?
Yes.
Like going back to the war on Christmas, trying to stay a little bit on topic.
It's my channel where we always go off topic.
That's okay.
Not less porn tonight, though, so we've been doing well.
Porn is
And if you did the same, though, like if you found out someone was a Christian and you started shoving atheist books at them, that would be considered rude, probably. That would be considered disrespectful, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always find it funny when and I've gotten this a lot over the years, being who I am, is when they turn. Oh wait, hold on a second, Sammy. Not right now, buddy.
Hi, Sammy.
Hi.
When they turn the nice phrases like "God bless you" and "Merry Christmas" into insults. Have you gotten that?
God, yes.
They think that you're gonna get mad about it because you're an atheist. Like I'm praying for you and God bless you and a Merry Christmas. Like because they think that you're gonna get mad.
Yeah.
I got it in a tweet. They put in bold Christ, so they wrote Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Merry capitalized.
Oh yeah.
Capitalized. MAS.
But it's so hypocritical though, because I mean, what do they actually do to really make Christmas about Jesus, especially in this country? I mean, a lot of them go to mass or whatever, but then Christmas Day is all about the presents and everything like that. So it really isn't about how much they love and need and care for Jesus. It's just about their need to be, to do what they want and to feel persecuted.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be, does it?
No.
It seems to be more like a step towards getting to that phase of Christmas, like Christmas Mass. So you have midnight Mass, Christmas Eve. It seems to be just a procedural step to get to the big Christmas lunch.
Yeah.
Oh, the food coma. Oh.
Food coma, that's right.
Eat a lot. Do you think because of the fact that our country is trying to push forward and be progressive, that it will be able to kind of eliminate this idea of war on Christmas, or will it get worse? They will continue to feel this persecuted.
It'll get worse before it gets better, I'd say.
Yeah, and I think that decreasing, I don't know how to say this, an increasingly smaller amount of people who will be more fervent, as they're like the cultish behavior, I think, is going to contract to fewer and fewer people, but they're going to be more and more intense.
Louder.
Yeah, they're literally a caged animal. As things progress, they're going to feel more and more attacked, and they're going to go and attack more. I do believe that probably next 50 to 100 years, I would say that America will have possibly caught up with a lot of progressive values that we have now. So as the world progresses and becomes more progressive, I just personally believe that America is about 50 to 100 years behind the rest of the world in regards to progression. What we need right now is to have a pushback against companies like the Murdoch media, which is what's happening in Australia now. There's a massive push back against Murdoch. There was also a big pushback in England. I think there was like a accident in a football field. I can't remember the name. MathPig, you might be able to help me with
Accident
this.
in football. You said football.
But it happened in Merseyside, and I think someone accidentally let off a flare, and there was a massive panic, and there were like 8 people had died, and people were pouring out onto the football field, and it was just an accident. And the Murdoch media, the Sun, just was like saying, "Oh, hooligans," and it was a riot and blah blah blah, which exactly did not happen. Because the Murdoch media was like just had it in for the that particular area, and then after that happened, I think it was in the 1980s or late 1980s, early 1990s. Ever since then, the Merseyside area boycotted Murdoch media. Like, you know, there's still people with stickers saying, you know, boycott the Sun and stuff like that. And Merseyside was really anti Brexit, and like it's this nice little community of people who are very aware of how dangerous Rupert Murdoch is, and Australia is starting to get that way as well, especially since Kevin Rudd has decided to bring up an inquiry into the monopoly that Murdoch media has on Australia, and there is a massive pushback right now against Murdoch. If we can break the severe right-wing attitudes that our media companies have against progression and that sort of stuff, we wouldn't, I think, as that crumbles, as these empires crumble, we'll be actually seeing an increase in progression and faster, because there's enough people who are pissed off enough to boycott Murdoch, and I think that would be a good thing.
I've seen that, like they got rid of Fox News in the UK, but here in America, you know, Fox News it did reign supreme as the right-wing media. But these are the people that are really pushing these absolute falsehoods and lies. These are the people that are, you know, claiming the war on Christmas. How do we fight against something like that?
What scares me are these newer more extreme ones popping up. The OAN and the Newsmax.
Ricardo goes that Hillsborough disaster. That was the thing. I'm concerned about OAN and Newsmax, and but I think it's going to turn into Breitbart and Info Wars and stuff like that. Anyone who is intelligent will go, that's bullshit.
It's the extremism that appears with everything right now. It is so difficult to find a middle ground. Everybody has to be polarized, and no matter, even if you do try and be middle ground, for you to be a media source and do that, you don't get any funding, you don't get any advertisement, you don't get any support for that, because you won't pick a side. And the people who support that, the people who fund that, you know, it's fucked. It's like a bad vicious circle, but you're forced to pick a side if you want to survive. And to be right, you should be up the middle. We should do that, but people don't want that. People want drama. They want to be polarized. They want the attention. I seen a study once, a documentary on, you take an individual person and you ask them, would you take this guy and dump him in a vat of piranhas because it's funny? It's okay, he'll survive afterwards. Now, oh, that's awful. You put him in a group of 100 people or 1,000 people, they're like, throw that fucker in, it's going to be hilarious and entertainment. You know, it's the mentality of the...
bystander effect as well. That's also a big one.
Well, there are plenty of us that recognize that it's bullshit. We know the lies, but the thing is, the people the group that agrees with it, that believes in it, they keep getting more riled up about it, and you know, it's so polarized that violence is ensuing now, and they are feeding into this. And So
But
what
as
are we
Mira
supposed to
pointed
do?
out earlier, and as I said to you yesterday, if you go up to a Trump supporter, you go up to someone and say, right, an anti-vaxxer, this, and this, here's the evidence. And they're like, right, well, my news says you're
Yeah.
wrong. My newspaper says you're wrong. My website says you're wrong. Oh, and guess what? The leader of our country says you're wrong. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not a fault on the people. It's a lack of education on being able to see the difference between what's real news and what's not. But it falls
Yeah.
down to they are just as supported as we are. It's just bad support.
You've tapped into something I was going to raise, actually. I think in order to see Merrow's vision of a 50 to 100 year turnaround in the US, there needs to be an education revolution, really. We need to get this generation, the next one, up to speed on how their country works. And that is introducing political sway, viewpoints, everything to do with the political bias that needs to be exposed or taught about in schools. I think that will lead the way to this overthrowing of what the system is now in terms of political power, who's in power, and then you'll get this more of a circular feed into the political system, and those with money will be changing. You see that happening now with Murdoch's children. His offspring are diverting away from him. They've gone against his climate denial, rhetoric, and you'll see that go through to perhaps their children into the grandchildren. So they you're seeing a generational shift of ideologies that will have an impact in future. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I see that, but I also, one of the biggest issues I see with the younger generation, like I notice it with Angel and his friends a lot, is they are inundated with so much information, and they don't know how to wade through it. And I think absolutely we need an education revolution, like Bear said. And part of that, though, they need to be taught how to find what is real and what is not. My son was... Yes. He always hears all the conspiracy theories and stuff like that, and he brings them to me. And one of the things that's going around is the bombing in I want to say Nashville.
Nashville.
Yeah.
Nashville.
Was done by the CIA. Okay, so and there is this very long explanation, and it's going around with the kids, and they hear everything because they're so we didn't have this when we were kids. We didn't have. Internet was in the mid 90s. But it wasn't like this with the social media and everything else, and a million different news sites. So being able to teach them how to wade through that and figure out what is actually real and check different sources. That's one of the reasons I do my channel. My tagline is to think critically, because it's so important for them to be able to figure out what is real and what is not, and that's a struggle right now.
It's hard. It's hard to break down to the legitimate sources. So yeah, that's the challenge I'm teaching my youngest son at the moment, because he heard about that bombing as well. And I suppose there are a lot of things on TikTok or whatever it is he looks at that say, there are conspiracy theories. So it's a matter of saying, well, you've got this question, let's look into it. And let's see what are the legitimate sources. It's really hard. I agree with you.
Yeah. And I think our education should have probably been redone. Like when the internet started becoming so big, they need to stop teaching kids things like calculus. I don't know what you could drag out. There are a lot of things that I think we need to look at, and start talking about things like, okay, what's a good scientific journal? How do you verify sources? There's so much information out there. You can go. It is more important, in my opinion, to teach people how to learn than to teach people what they need to learn.
Yeah.
And because I can tell you this right now, I will never, ever, ever use half of the shit that I learned in school, because as soon as I left, I was like, I'm going to start focusing on a narrow thing. It is important. I'm not taking that away. I'm not taking away that history is important. I'm not taking away that geography is important. They're very important things, but only it's taught to kids in a where kids aren't actually going to need to use it. But things like, okay, this is how you learn how to learn. I was never taught how to learn until I started teaching myself a language. I never learned how to learn. I never learned how to research until I went to university. I never learned how to check my sources until I started doing my YouTube channel. And that's late 20s, early 30s where I learnt these skills.
Yeah.
And that's really, really dangerous. That's incredibly dangerous. It's incredibly dangerous.
But I think people like you and I are lucky because we've had that scientific education, and so we see things differently. It's not just science, though. Like history has the same thing, looking for waiting for sources and stuff like that. But having that is it's a fundamental part of it, being able to find what is real, and it's something that not everybody is taught.
Yeah, and I think history is, even though I'm never going to use it, history is one of the most important things that we need to learn, because if you don't learn about history, you're going to make the same mistakes.
Yes.
Trump, for example, is the mistake that we have not learned from World War II. And I'm sorry to say that. I know I'm going down, was it Poe's law? Whose law was it? Where you
Godwin.
Doesn't matter how long. Godwin's law. Thank you. I know that I'm making Godwin's law, but the fact of the matter is that Trump is a fascist. It's a controversial thing to say, but there's enough historians going, this is dangerous, especially World War II historians.
I think Godwin himself said that it's okay to use it for Trump.
Well, it was the same idea with the kids in cages. There were people that were in concentration camps that were saying this was very similar. There are so many lines drawn between, and we're not learning. We're just letting it get worse.
Definitely.
And I think Trump went a long way toward lending credibility to Newsmax and OAN. I don't think they would be nearly what they are now if not for Trump.
Exactly.
Yeah, very true.
It's an interesting dichotomy because Trump was kind of made by Fox News, but also Fox News got built up, and then therefore these other subsets came out like OANN because of Trump. So they built on each other, and this is what has come of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Apologies earlier. That was my phone going off. Sorry about that.
That's okay, Bear.
And bless you, MathPig, you sneezed. I couldn't pass up the opportunity.
All right. We've been going for almost an hour and a half, so we'll go around the room if anybody has any final thoughts. We'll start with you, Robbie.
Really? Yeah. Christians love to be victimized. It's something we don't really find very much over here in the UK, unless you push it. But there's no reason to push it over here. You do interact with people, and I'm not going to say that we don't have evangelists over here. I've sent, Amanda messages about interactions I've had with people. Hell, I even found an exorcism kit in the back of a priest's car there about a month ago. It was quite funny, man. Yeah. Oh, the whole cloth and the Bible, the holy water, the whole kit, so I do interact with these people, but I find it generally better to not be aggressive with them, to not come across as having a war on Christmas, having a war on Christians, and saying that the license plate for my car is 666. But the reason for that is to get an attention from someone, to get a conversation going, to find out why they believe what they believe.
Yeah.
Just make sure the license plate on your car never reads 999 or you're in trouble.
Oh, no.
Bear?
Yeah, look, it's the only issue that comes up every now and then at this time of the year is when some loony parent complains about some Christmas carols being sung at a school the wrong way or using the wrong lyrics, or you'll see these. It's really just for a news bite. It's not. There's no real war on Christmas. It's really just upset people wanting to cause drama. So it goes away very quickly. And there's I don't really come across anything too major about it here. So we're pretty lucky where we are.
Yeah, you are for many reasons.
Very lucky.
Mira?
Basically what Bear said, there's really bugger all here. It's just people, really is just people complaining and having a whinge about bad, sad things. It's horrible, horrible atheists. No, it's nothing. It's nothing. If there really was a war against atheists, you would be seeing them getting slaughtered in the street. And no, you're not. They're running the country. So
Christians,
that's Christians are as I said, our PM is a fundamentalist Christian. So
our president claims to be, but we all know he's not. So
he waved that Bible in front of a church. That's evidence enough for me.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Maybe one day we'll live long enough to see a Christian president of the United States.
Free from persecution.
Yeah, then we'll know. Then we'll know Christians are no longer persecuted.
Mm-hmm.
That will be the day.
Well, that was on you too, John. So, any last thoughts?
Being treated the same as everyone else isn't being the same as being persecuted.
Yeah, agreed. Thank you guys so much for coming. I'm glad that I was able to sit here and have an evening with friends and a chat with friends. You guys are great. Thank you very much. And thank you to everybody in the audience that came. So we will see you next week. Chris Shelton will be back. And don't forget MathPig's New Year's Eve stream. Does anybody? John just came out with I don't know where he is, with a new. Shut the fuck up, MathPig. John just came out with a new animation a couple days ago. Make sure you check that out. I have everything in the description.
That was inspired by God's Not Dead. That new animation.
It was so funny. I'm watching you. I'm watching you.
I love the fact that you watched that movie and got so much out of it, though.
Yeah.
So.
I even had the car, God fixing the car at the end.
Yeah, it was great. Miro and Bear, anything coming out for you guys?
Maybe I might start writing a script for my next video.
I might respond to God is Dead. I haven't watched it yet, so I might do a response to that. Why not?
Actually, I didn't put this one in. John's other channel, Dark Antics, I'll put it in the description after. He put the Twitch stream for God's Not Dead on there. It is fucking hilarious. So
right.
Watch that.
How long does it go for?
So there you go.
What were we watching for, like 3 hours, John?
Yeah, but on my Dark Antics channel, I edited it down to like an hour or something to make it a little more tolerable.
Yeah. So make sure, I will put that in the description, but make sure you check that out. It is hilarious. And we have to get to the next one.
It's in the chat.
Oh, thank you, honey. All right. I guess we will, Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy New Year. And we will see you all next week.
Oh, and let me know when the Mankini thing is so that I can unplug my internet.
New Year's Eve. New Year's
5:30.
Eve. It's going to be 5:30 Eastern, but if it's anything like last year's ran for 5 hours. We're planning on shooting people, having a conversation, talking. It's going to be...
You know I'm going to try to drag you there, John. So, you know.
You drag somebody with their internet unplugged.
Yeah, should we expect a knock
Data.
if we watch this stream?
You've got your mobile, John. You've got your mobile.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to look small anyway, you know.
Oh God! But yes,
it is winter in the middle. It is
very
winter
cold
in
this room. It's very cold.
Yeah.
Though I have tried it on, it doesn't properly fit. I can't lean forward.
No, it doesn't.
It shrinks. It just does. I don't know why.
I hate it. Oh. But this is what he gets for reaching 1,000. This was the get me to this. So people wanted it. It was
That's
getting
where the
to
fuck
1,000.
me and Dave
more
were
than
like, there's no
Anthem.
way you're gonna hit 1,000 subs by the end of the year. 70 subs in like a week and a half. It's like, okay, people want the Mankini, right?
Yeah, so we're stuck with it. But
Except
everybody
Miro. Miro definitely does not want that.
comes.
Don't worry. You'll be seeing me cry blood. That's fine.
All right, everybody.
It will be a miracle.
Everybody have a safe New Year's, and we'll see you all next week. Bye, guys.
Good
Night. Think critically.
Bye. Don't forget, don't give yourself the raw prawn.